Alrighty. Welcome everybody to Aspen Updates in an Instant for the 21.10 release. We got a bunch of fun things today. So we're going to start by looking at a few account integration updates. So we've done a few things to allow libraries to limit how many days out users can freeze a hold. So we had a few libraries that were having issues with people freezing their holds for like 2 years and not being able to, like, because there were holds, people couldn't renew. So you can now set that date. So let's go in and take a look at that within, so it's in Aspen administration in your library settings. We're going to edit our library and go down here to the ILS account integration and hold section. So down here, there is the max days to freeze holds. By default, that's set to -1, which means however long people want. In this case, I set it to 60, but let's set it to 45 or something. And we'll go down and save those changes all the way to the bottom. So now that we have those changes saved, I'm just going to look in my checked out titles list. And now we're going to actually look at the holds because you freeze holds, not checkouts. So here we've got our holds. We're going to freeze dragon. So you can still pick the date when you want the hold thawed. It brings up a nice little calendar. That calendar then is grayed out for dates you can't thaw it. So obviously you can't thaw it to the past. And then we have the last day that we can freeze it is the 1st, which is 45 days from now. So you can't go through and freeze it way into the future. So it'll just give you errors there. But we could freeze it until the 3rd when we get back from vacation or something. So freeze those holds. We have also added when we place a hold. So we've got the ability to, based off your format, say, do you want a bib to get bib level or item level holds? So we could say for something like graphic novels, bib or item level holds. We do have some situations in consortia where some members of a library want those to be bib level holds and some want them to be item level holds. So you're now able to force them to be one or the other. So rather than letting the patron say, I want first available or a specific hold, we can say back in our library systems, do we want those to be? So we're going back into ILS account integration and holds. And we can say either allow bib or item level holds or force a bib level hold or force an item level hold. So for libraries that just want a little more control over that within a consortium, where some members of the consortium really like item level holds and some like bib level holds and some want patrons to choose. So that's an option now. We also are allowing, so up above, if anybody really wants me to show that, I can, but basically it just changes what options on the hold form. We also have the ability to display item barcodes and patron checkouts. So if you check that on, you'll be able to see the barcode within the checkouts. That does depend on the ILS providing those barcodes to us. So for sure, Koha, Polaris, I believe Symphony are all working for sure with viewing the barcode. If you turn that on and it doesn't do anything, let us know and we can do some more digging to make sure that the ILS supports that. So checked out titles, we now see our barcode for each of those. So more hold and freezing and stuff. Freeze all, thaw all will now respect whether or not as a library you're allowing freezing and thawing holds. So before, if you had freezing holds turned off, but down at the very bottom, you would still get the freeze all, thaw all buttons potentially. So that's fixed now. And then the other thing for people that are accepting fine payments, there has always been within the library settings a minimum fine amount. If you are currently allowing partial fine payments, so a patron can pay like $1 out of a $5 fine or 50 cents out of a $5 fine, it's now going to check that the total amount that they're paying meets that criteria. So if you say that they have to have $5 of fines to pay online, it's going to make sure that the sum of everything that they're paying is at least $5. And along those lines, we did in this release introduce ProPay as another option for e-commerce. So for libraries that are using ProPay, you'll be able to do that. It is not ready yet, but sometime 2110, maybe 2111, we will also be adding for patrons or for libraries that take fine payments a report just to show you all of the fine payments that have been done, and you can see if they were completed or not. So that's in the works and likely will be done by the end of 2110. Some grouping updates that we did. So we've had uniform title record grouping for 3 or 4 releases now. We did update that to include some additional subfields. So we're now going to include subfields M, O, and S in addition to N and P, which helps to break up things like the Bible so that we can see the different versions of the Bible and see like see all of those separately. Should help with some of the music and that stuff as well. So that is coming for the people that have uniform titles in their records. We've done a ton of updates to various ILSs. Polaris has gotten a lot of attention in this release. And I'm not going to demo every single one of these, but in Polaris, we can now see patron blocks. We can, patrons can import their lists from Polaris. Patrons can change their PIN and password. Administrators are able to masquerade in Polaris. And we did a lot of updates to the volume information for placing volume/item level holds to make sure that that's all working properly for Polaris libraries. That all functions a little bit differently than other ILSs. So a little work there to get all of that working. The other thing that we're doing is loading the number of holds from Polaris, which we've got for most other ILSs. So we can see total number of holds. So if I do a blank search now, we also added a sort for sorting by number of holds. So we can sort by number of holds, which will sort most to fewest. So we can see like here, this is our test system. We don't have a ton of holds, but we have 9 people on hold for Gone Girl. 3 for A History of France, 3 for Naruto. These will also take into account overdrive holds. So for a lot of the popular materials, you'll see overdrive playing a role as well. And it's total number of holds on that work is what we're sorting by. So lets you do some cool things that will also work in browse categories. So if you want to do like the most held things currently, you can promote those. Also did just some updates to the naming of these. So this used to be like sort by newest, first, and oldest. Just renamed them what they are. So publication date or publication year, descending and ascending, because that's really what it is, and then date purchased. So you can sort those and hopefully those make more sense to patrons. Let's see. So for, and we added some default translations. These are just fun, mainly for being able to find additional cases that aren't translatable. So we added a Pig Latin, so Pig Latin default translation. So here we can see, hey, that is not translatable. So we will be updating the translation to make that translatable. So Pig Latin and WW. So just some ways for us to help make sure that everything in Aspen is translatable. So part of what we'll be doing over the rest of this release and next release is scouring for any strings that aren't translatable. And if you see any, please let us know, because we're always happy to keep updating those. One last, so I'm going to log back in as my Mark account and show one last change and then one cool new feature. So in the dropdown, we've had a lot of people complaining about the account settings section here and just it being hard to see because it was previously a collapsed section. So we just opened that up so that you can see everything easily without having to expand that out. So helps on mobile just to make it all a little bit easier. So just wanted to mention that. Now, the cool thing that we did is all of these menus and pages now can be restricted to specific patron types. So let's just go into our library settings here. So first we'll show menus. So when we go in and define our menu settings down here, all the way at the bottom. So I created a new staff account. If you edit this, you get a few additional things. So if we edit this, and so by default, this is not displayed to logged in users only, it's displayed to everybody. If we check that on, we get a list of all of the patron types currently in the system, which then allows us to restrict it. So we can say, hey, this staff link, which is just going to our /staff. So we've got staff going to /staff. This is available to library staff only. So this gives you the ability to display specific menu items to specific users. So one of the obvious things is, hey, we could actually create a staff intranet now and have specific information limited to staff only. If you wanted to, you could create like a teen section that would be a hidden, hey, teens, if you go sign in, you can create a teen page that is completely hidden and they can go find the secret way of getting in there. So we're excited to see what people do with that. That's the menus. As well as if we go into our web builder, we can look at the different pages. So basic pages, custom pages, same kind of thing. So here's our staff page. Same thing, require the login to access, available only to library staff. You can choose what audiences and categories it's available for, what libraries. But then if I'm logged out, so here I've got my staff, which goes to my staff page. If I sign out, I no longer see that staff link. And if I go to /staff, it's going to tell me that I don't have access to it. So very cool. We're very excited to see what all people do with that. So if you have an idea for it, or if you use it, please let us know, because we're excited to see how that works. Those are the big updates for 21.10. We will, of course, still be working on this for a little bit over the next couple of days. We're expecting a few indexing changes, maybe that report for the e-commerce transactions, So a few little things. The other big thing to note for 2110, we have Kirsten's gotten our app submitted to both the iOS and the Android store. So hopefully over the course of the next, we don't know how long it's going to take them to approve it, but hopefully in the next couple of days to week or so, we will actually have those apps ready to be tested by people, and then we'll work on rolling them out to a full push to where anybody in production could use those. Um, any questions on any of that today? All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming to Aspen Updates in an Instant. This code will all deploy Thursday night, um, and it will be up on your site and live on Friday morning. So looking forward to pushing some more good code to you, and we'll talk to you all next time.